So I'm here today with Jeremy.
How are we doing?
And we're at Texan RV Park, which is also part of the NRVTA campus.
Yep.
And is this actually the home of Big Beard Batteries?
It's right
Ish.
now. Yeah, it's ish. Yeah, definitely. Big Beard Batteries, they're building their own headquarters. About 30 minutes away from here.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, definitely. So right now, this is kind of the mecca center of it all.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So what we're doing is we're doing a full solar lithium install package. Why don't you tell us about all the pieces, parts that we're putting together to make this thing work?
Sure, yeah, it'd be my pleasure. So what we're going to do, we're going to be able to take her completely off grid. So this package is going to include 2 of the Big Beard batteries, which are 280 amp hours a piece. We're also going to install a 3,000 watt Victron Multiplus inverter. And then we're also going to install some Lynx distributors, which is basically our bus bars. You'll learn about that later as we go along, and just learn about the cool protection part of it. Right now we're shooting for 3 panels at least, maybe 2, maybe 4. It all depends on my main man Caleb, who's actually got behind the camera right now filming this for us. He's going to get up on the roof because, you know, this lovely figure doesn't get on roofs very much. So, but you know, once we figure all that out, Caleb will definitely fill you in, kind of let you know where we're standing on that once he gets and does his magic up there. But you know, we kind of just got to see the rig. Beautiful rig, by the way. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank
you know, spend the next couple of days with you doing this install, and super excited to see where we get it and how we fit it in, and all the little nicks and nuts, and how it goes about for us.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just had this one for about a little over a month and a half now.
Oh, beautiful.
And having to depend on hookups is not where I want to be. So I want to get hooked up.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
To avoid the whole hookups thing. All right, so we're going to get into it. What's going to happen next, guys, is Caleb and Jeremy are going to kind of look around through all my compartments and stuff and put a game plan together for where the equipment's going to go, how many panels we can get on the roof, all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to be with you as this unfolds over the next couple of days. Hey guys, as I was editing this, I'm going to just jump in real quick and let you know this is a longer video. But it's a video about solar that I've never seen done in this kind of depth before, with this kind of explanation. And I think especially if you're new to the whole solar and lithium thing, you're going to find some of these explanations really helpful. So please, watch all the way to the end. All right, let's get right into the intro and into the meat of it. Caleb up on the roof, and he's figured out how he's going to be able to drop the wires. They're going to come down through the next to the plumbing chase that goes down through the closet back in the bathroom. And the good news is we're getting 3 panels up on top without having to remove anything. And in fact, he said we could actually get a 4th on if we really wanted to make them work hard. I think we're going to skip that part though, because it's still going to be way more than I had previously. And then Jeremy here.
How we doing?
Doing great. Jeremy's going to show us what we're going to do on the equipment side, if you would, please.
Yeah, come on over. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put it right here on your shelf. And I've kind of got this laid out with blue tape right now. So from this blue tape line over, that's where your inverter is going to go.
Okay.
And then between these 2 blue tapes, that's where your 2 batteries are going to go.
Awesome.
So then what we've got right here is we've got your Lynx distributor. When I take this cover off, basically what it is, it's your bus bars. It's your positive and your negative bus bar. The great thing about using the Lynx distributors, on the positive side, we can actually put fuses in there to add safety and add protection to it.
Cool.
So we'll be able to fuse all the positive side of every piece of equipment that we're going to put in on your build. So we're going to use, so this is our distributor. This is the size MPPT we're going to use. We're going to use the Victron, the 150-100. So you'll be able to get total maximum wattage, what you've got up there on your roof, which would be great. We're going to use 2 of the Big Beard batteries, 280 amp hours a piece. And then we're going to install a smart shunt, so we'll be able to monitor the complete state of charge of your batteries. Then we're going to have 1 battery disconnect to be able to turn your batteries off in case there would ever need to be service or maintenance done on them.
Cool. And let's talk about what makes Big Beard batteries better than others.
Yes. Yeah, with Big Beard batteries, definitely one of the great things is they have active balancing in it. So at all times, basically what it's going to do is it's going to be monitoring all 4 individual cells in each battery. So each battery has its own what's called a BMS. It's a battery management system. So what that battery management system is going to do in each of those batteries, it's going to make sure that all of those cells are balanced at all one time. So you're never going to have one that's overcharged or one that's undercharged. They're all going to be staying very close to each other. So which a lot of other battery companies don't have that feature enabled into them. So that's one of the great advantages of having Big Beard batteries installed into your RV system.
And for the number of amp hours you're getting, it seems to be a pretty small form factor.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you're getting 560 amp hours in a very, very small footprint, which, you know, if you're talking about other batteries, you're 1.5 to almost 2 times the size of each of these batteries for it.
Yeah, looking at that, I mean, that looks like it's roughly the same footprint as the 305 amp hour batteries I had previously.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool to be able to get that much more. Now here's an interesting thing. A lot of people say that lithium batteries don't work well when it gets cold and you can't have them in cold weather. My understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I very well could be, but my understanding is that they will operate correctly while they're discharging. They just won't charge effectively in cold temperatures.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, definitely one of the big things is whatever battery you do choose, make sure you read the manufacturer's label to see what their operating voltage is, or temperature, excuse me, not voltage, but temperature. Some of them differentiate between, you know, what degree you can go down to low wise and up on the high side too. So you definitely want to make sure whatever battery you do choose, you stay within their parameters so you don't damage any type of the cells inside of the battery for you.
Well, my deal is I'm pretty much chasing 73 degrees all year.
So you'll be totally fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah, and if you do decide to go to where it is going to get cold out, you know, obviously if you like camping in the winter and snow, first of all, you know, that's awesome. Go for that. That's not me.
Not me either.
Yeah. But the other thing is what you might want to look for is if you go and you do like to camp in the cold, look for a lithium battery that has a built-in heater into it. So with Big Beard batteries, I know that's one of the things that's going to be coming. They're going to have heaters eventually be able to be installed inside of it. So if it does get to that certain temperature, the BMS is smart enough to be able to kick that heater on to keep your battery cells warm so they can properly charge and discharge in colder weather.
Cool. All right, I'm going to let you get back to work because you got plenty of it to do.
Awesome.
And we'll check in periodically and see how it's going.
Sounds great. Take care.
Thank you. We just fed the wires down from the roof that are going to connect the solar panels to the Victron Multiplus inverter. So this is, what is this?
So this is your Links distributor. It's what it's called. It's made by Victron. So essentially what this is your positive bus bar up here. And then down here, if you look, when I flip up these little black pieces, this is your negative bus bar right there. These little pieces come off. What that does is it separates your negative wire from coming up here to connect to your positive wire. But what it does is, so you can see, if I don't have these little, what they're called little fuses in here, those are actually your safety. So this is rated for 250 amps, and it actually bridges the connection up here to your positive bus bar.
Oh, gotcha.
So what that is, that's another safety device. If you would ever have a surge over 250 amps, this fuse will blow, and then it will basically break that connection from whatever wire is attached to it up to the positive bus bar.
Cool. So in my last system, they did a like a standalone breaker, I think.
So this is basically what it does. One of the advantages of using the Links is it's basically more compact. Instead of having to have 2 separate bus bars, a positive and negative, it's all compacted into one little compartment here for you, which works great on a smaller build like this. We're able to save space essentially by having these bus bars stacked upon each other.
Well, we've got progress. We got cables going through the wall so they'll connect to the breaker box. Getting wired up to the inverter. Batteries are set in place. And now, the moment we've been waiting for. Here go the solar panels getting handed up. This is the advantage of a tall man and a low coach. No ladder needed. All right, so we got 4 panels going up on the roof. They're 200 watts each from Rich Solar. And we're gonna ask Caleb to take the camera up there once he's all done and talk about what's up on the roof, because we know I'll never be up there. Yep, that's a fact. And in case you were wondering, that's Kit. Yep, because that's what he does. He can't help it, he just barks. Barks. So here's kind of a cool thing. See all this wood here? This is all the wood that they had to drill through to be able to get to run the cables inside. So these pieces are solid. These are, less solid, but that's a lot of wood, which is kind of a testament to the quality of the coach. So I'm okay with that. Want to get a little shot of Kit Cam? Everything's kind of a mess right now because we've got stuff all torn apart while we're working on this. But there he is. There's the kit. All right, let's take a look at what's going on behind door number 1, or what's actually underneath the bed. So we've got these 2 really big cables coming through here. That's where they had to drill through 6 inches worth of stuff to get them in. And these cables are going to connect over here to the breaker box. And that's what's going to provide power to everything. And then, of course, other stuff that's down here, that's the furnace. The green and white tube is the gravity water feed. And the clear one, I guess, is the air outlet. This, of course, is the freshwater tank. Nice size. And the water pump is right down there. I guess this is the power distribution system from the existing setup, which is all going to stay in place, actually. And what's cool about that is that then I have a backup just in case something goes wrong. So there's an 1800 watt inverter right here, Xantrex, and that's going to stay. My existing 2 6-volt lead acid batteries are going to stay, and they'll continue to charge off of the engine while I'm driving. The new solar and lithium system is completely separate from that, and what's cool is that means that if for some reason that fails, I can revert to the old system temporarily. Okay, so what we're checking now is the voltage at the solar controller, right? Or at the disconnect?
At our DC breaker. So
at the DC breaker.
Yeah, so right now, Caleb just went up on the roof. He's up there finishing everything up in our combiner box and then making sure that the voltage is correct, polarity is correct. I'm down here checking that as well, so you might not be able to see it. Right now, when I put it in there, I'm getting 88.8 volts off of the 4 panels that we just installed.
Because each panel will produce up to
24.3 volts.
Okay, so we're getting pretty close to full power, and the sun's moved from well overhead already,
yes,
too.
Yes. So, and the good thing is, too, and if, you were to travel up north, the cooler it is, because panels are usually tested around 70 degrees. So if it goes below 70 degrees, your panels can actually produce a little bit higher than the 24 volts.
So I might actually do better in the wintertime.
You potentially could, yeah.
Than I would expect to, just because of the temperature difference.
Yeah, if you go below 70, now you're not going to get anything crazy, but you might get 2 or 3 volts more on these panels.
Well, and in the wintertime, every 2 or 3 volt, which transfers into wattage,
yes,
or vice versa, makes a big difference in what I can do inside.
Definitely. And your controller can handle up to 150 volts.
Okay.
So it's totally fine. You're not even near it. The big thing we always teach in class and when we do these installs for fellow customers is we always let them know you want to have 10%. So that's why we built that number in there. So you're never going to run your MPPT at full capacity. So it's not going to run as warm as it could, and it's not going to be running at a full throttle. So it's actually makes this run more efficient. So in the long run, you're going to get better life, better charge time when staying under that 10% buffer.
And so there's 2 numbers on the MPPT, right? That's the 150, which is...
Yep. So you have 150 volts, and this could technically handle up to 100 amps.
Oh, okay.
So, but your panels only produce 9.3, but since we're putting them all in series, the only thing we're going to be increasing is your voltage. Your amperage is still going to stay the same.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Touchscreen and then the Servo GX, which is kind of like your warden of your system. What that's going to do is we're going to tie in your smart controller, your smart shunt, which is back up here against your wall, and then we're also going to put your inverter on there. So it'll go on it's what's called the Touch 50. What I'm doing now is I'm opening up, if you see, I'm opening up the Victron Connect app, and I'm actually updating the smart shunt. I just went ahead, you can see I've got a little light up here. I need to go in, I'm going to have to reset, do another firmware, set my battery capacity, which is basically setting our amp hours.
Okay.
So you have 2 batteries at 280 amp hours each. So that's going to give you 560 amp hours.
Woohoo!
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hold it, which unfortunately you don't get to punch it in. You got to just wait till it clicks up to 560.
Good.
So it'll take a minute.
Yeah, but at least it can do it consecutively. You don't have to punch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can hold it in. We'll set that, because if we didn't set that, your smart shunt is not going to know the true state of charge of your batteries. It's going to say a lot lower, but when you really, in all actuality, you're going to have a lot more, because it defaults to 200 amp hours. So what we've got to do is we got to make sure we get it right in there so your state of charge can always be set correctly for you.
Nice.
So you know when you pull up your screen, it'll show. We'll show you here in the future once we get that mounted and everything. Went past it. We'll be able to see what your battery percentage is in a percentage. So not having to just guess like, do I have enough? Do I not have enough? So now I went ahead and set that. So now we're good. Your parameters are all set. And now we're coming back, showing your state of charge is at 100% right now.
Cool.
Your voltage is at 13.55 out of your 2 batteries. So right now we have no power because we haven't turned on our inverter yet. So the next step is just double checking everything, which Caleb's done. And then we're gonna flip this bad boy on and we will start programming it through my computer and this little guy right here. This is called an MK3. What it allows me to do is take this RJ45 cable, plug in to the MK3, and it actually lets me to go into my computer to be able to talk directly to the inverter.
Gotcha.
So what we'll do first is we're going to update the firmware on it because it comes with the stock firmware. I'm going to go ahead and what the great thing is versus the shunt and the MPPT, I can go in and just put the latest and greatest. I don't have to worry about updating 17,000 times.
Good.
And then after that, what I'm going to do is going to go into a program called VE Configure 3. And what that is, it's kind of, the way we describe it is like TurboTax. I'm going to input all the numbers, what to charge it to, what to discharge it to, repeated absorption, all those different parameters I'm going to set in here as well. So, and I'm also going to give you capabilities to go in to be able to access remotely through your touchscreen and through your cell phone to be able to change your input current limit. So if you ever go mood stocking at a friend's house and they give you an outlet, 15 amps, you can dumb it down to 15 amps. So only 15 amps will go through this inverter.
And we talked about this yesterday.
Exactly.
Set the reminder on your phone to set it back up to 30 amps when you're ready to leave there.
Yes, because if not, so let's say, you know, you're at your friends, you mood stock for a week, you go back, and then you go back to a park. You plug into 30 amps. If this is still set at 15, it's only going to let 15 amps come through, even though there's 30 amps available. So what it's going to do is if you go over that 15 amp threshold, it's going to start what's called power assist in the Victron world. It's going to start pulling to supplement the extra load that you're demanding through your batteries. So that's one of the things too. Also, if you go to your friend's house and you don't turn it down, it's going to try to pull 30 amps out of that 15 amp circuit, which more than likely is going to trip that breaker. So it's always important whenever you're setting this, if you go to somewhere and it's less than what we set it at in the VE Configure 3, to always turn it down, but always don't forget to turn it back up.
Awesome. Okay, so now everything's set up, the inverter's turned on, and we're running the air conditioner off of the batteries so that we can check to make sure that the equipment is not that the connections are not overheating as a result of, that would be not correctly connected, right?
Yeah, not a good crimp or something. So,
yeah. So we're gonna let it run for what, about 10 minutes and then?
Yeah, 10 minutes at least, just to let you know this kind of run, do its course, and get everything up and running. We'll
cool.
see. Then I'll take my little camera, it's called a FLIR. What it does is it actually, I'll take it out of the box real quick. It's just a little camera, connects onto the bottom, and it actually does thermal imaging.
Oh, cool.
So what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to run it against all of our connections, check out everything, make sure nothing's getting too hot. And if there is for a cause for concern, you know, even though we check all of our crimps, you know, it's always good just to do the field test, see if there's any wires getting warm, things along those lines. And if there would be, then we would do some triage, as we call it. We would take that loose, we would cut it, make a new crimp on there, then reinstall, and then redo this test again.
Awesome.
So.
And I just want to point out, guys, that we are running the air conditioner off of batteries. There's no AC power going in right now.
No, not at all.
So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. And what that means for me is that if I'm traveling on a hot day, I can flip on the AC like an hour before I get to my destination, get everything cooled down before we get there. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's about 90 degrees on the back wall.
All right, guys, this is Caleb. I was helping Jeremy with this install. And so now we're at the back of the rig looking forward. We were able to get 4 panels up here. We're tight, but you know, it fits. So I just want to kind of walk y'all guys. We're going towards the front here. You can see where we run our wires. I like to kind of keep things secured and keep it tidy. So we'll go up here to the front. This front panel, we're set real close to the cap, as you can see. So what we did was put a piece of aluminum all the way across so that we don't have any lift on that front panel. And it's we also have it set just a little bit lower than these others. Let me get around here. It's hard to navigate the roof, so you got to tiptoe. Okay, so now we're looking back towards the back, and you can kind of see what we have going on back there. I'll show you. You know, we have these feet completely covered up and sealed up. That way we don't have any kind of water intrusion. We also have some butyl tape underneath them, so it's redundancy in your water sealing. Right here, you can see we've got some eternal bond tape here that's to hold our wires down. We don't have any more holes in the roof than we absolutely have to have. You can see here that we're up next to our AC. We're pretty tight. We're close, but we're not touching. So we fit, but we were right at it. You can see these zip ties. I zip tie everything up and keep them all nice and run clean because you don't want your wires slapping as you're going down the road. So here we got a combiner box. This white box here. This guy is where we put where we make our connections from our panel. So everything coming from this side is coming from our panels, and everything coming from this side is what we call our drop. So that's going down to our MPPT down below. And we had to run it up kind of through with a plumbing vent out the side and then over into our box here. A lot of times if I've got the room, I will just put everything kind of in this box as when my drop comes up through the ceiling. But in this rig, we weren't able to do that. So you kind of have to get creative sometimes, which is what we did here. But as you can see, it turned out really good. We got our 4 panels up here. So she's got 800 watts. So it's gonna be really nice for her. And you can see kind of here where we got from our front panel here to this panel here, we run our wires up kind of up close to the AC, so you can't even see them. So they're nice and keeps things nice and clean.
Cool, so we are down to the wire now.
Yes, we are.
It's been a tough day today, though, hasn't it?
It's been interesting, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
it's not what you were expecting, I'm sure. So we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But before we get there, let's talk about what all we got going on in this compartment, what we wound up with.
Yeah, perfect, no problem. We'll go over here and we'll work your kind of way from left to right. We'll talk about all that right now. First of all, what we did is we've got our MPPT, our solar charge controller. So what that did is it's going to take the high voltage from our panels that our sun produced for us, and it's going to turn it into battery voltage. So it's going to be able to help charge the batteries when you're unplugged. So we actually went with an MPPT. It's a 150-100. The 150 again stands for 150 volts, 100 amps. So with the panels we were able to get on there, we're only going to be pushing around 100 volts on that. So definitely we'll be able to stay well within those parameters. You best rule of thumb, stay within 10%. Don't ever want to go and match it right up to that 150 volts, because like you've seen and what we've talked about throughout this week, in colder temperatures below 70 degrees, your panels actually work more efficient, which is kind of crazy. You would think the hotter it is, the more efficient they run, but no, actually the cooler, the better they run. So next we're going to kind of move along over here. The 2 Big Beard 280 amp hour batteries, which we were able to install, we got them lined up in parallel. So we're increasing our amp hours on here, not our voltage. So we're staying in that 12 volt system. So now we have 560 amp hours. It's going to run this system. And next, what you can see is we've run our battery cutoff just to add some extra protection here for you. And then also you can see over here in this corner, these are what we call our DC breakers. DC breakers are in case, you know, you would ever have to get on the roof and do some maintenance. All you gotta do is turn those off, and essentially you're turning the sun off. Moving on next against the wall, what we have over here up here, this is our smart shunt. Our smart shunt as Betterly helps you know exactly what the true state of charge of your batteries are. Because with lithium batteries, they have that flat discharge, not like lead acid where they kind of go down a hill. You know, you will never know exactly what you're going to have truly a percentage-wise unless you have some sort of a smart shunt in there to be able to tell you exactly what percentage of batteries you have left. Next, this big blue brick right here, this is our 3,000 watt Multiplus inverter. So this is what's going to be giving her power when she's not hooked up to power. And then last but not least, if you look over here, we have is our links distributor. Our links distributor is what kind of where everything comes to meet. This is the Mecca Center where all of our battery cables, all of our inverter cables are going to come. And like we talked about throughout the week and in the beginning video, we're actually able to put little fuses on there to add more protection. So we're protecting our wire size. So that's those are rated for those amperage of the wire. So if it ever gets to that, those will actually blow and help protect the system.
So Jeremy, that's a great explanation, but I'd love it if you would talk a little bit about what makes the Multiplus different from like the Xantrex 1800 watt inverter that's in there right now.
So definitely with the Multiplus is the communicability. So when I go in and I program these things, I can tell them exactly what to charge, how to discharge. I can set all those different parameters in there. And also they have safety features built into it. So I set the low cutoff. If batteries get below 11.9, it's going to shut that inverter off just to protect everything. So until the next day, whether you cut into shore power or we wait till the sun comes up to charge your batteries back up, then this will turn back on. So also essentially too, the great thing is you can go ahead and you can set your input current limit. It'll start pulling from batteries if your demand is higher than 15 amps. So these are just the communicability, the way to program, the safety features that are built into these, in my opinion, are bar none better than any other inverter on the market. You know, I always kind of, when I'm talking to future solar students, I talk to them like, this is, if you're talking car world, this is like the Ferrari right now. You know, all the other ones you're talking, I jokingly say that's the Pintos and things like that. But, you know, this guy right now, you're going to pay a little bit more, but at the end result, you're going to get more bang for your buck.
So here we are on the inside, and this black panel is brand new to this system right next to the Dometic thermostat that runs the AC in the furnace. So Jeremy's going to walk me through how this works.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to just tap it. That's going to wake it up. So what you can see right now is it's got 5 different boxes. This box right here is when you're connected to shore power, it's going to show you what demand that you have or calling for from shore, and it's going to get it. It's going to go through your inverter, and it's going to come over here to your AC load. Your AC load is going to be exactly what you, the human, are going to be using. So moving on right along, you're going to see this guy right here. This is called your PV charger. So right now you can see we're only bringing in about 10 watts. But the only reason why we're bringing in about 10 watts right now is because we're connected to shore power, and shore power is priority. So as soon as if we would disconnect from shore power, you'll see that number steadily climb, depending on the time of day, the sun exposure, things along those lines. So whenever you're hooked into shore power, don't get upset or don't get scared if you get one of these systems and you're only seeing 20, 30, 11, 10, sometimes even 0 watts. You're not going to need it because you have shore power and it's going to be able to supply all of your demand.
Well, and the batteries are 100%.
Yep, so there's no need for it. So you're in float right now. You can see that that's in float. So kind of moving along here, last but not least, this is your batteries. This is telling you what your state of charge is. Right now we're at 100%, what your battery voltage is, which is 13.6 and 0 amps. So right now these batteries are 100% ready to rock and roll.
Cool. Cool. Are there any adjustments that I have to make on the panel, or I just get to see things?
So one of the things you get to see, and now if you ever go to like a mooch stocking situation or you need to turn it down for your generator, all you have to do is you have to swipe, and then you're going to see right here where it says AC current limit. It's at 30 amps right now. So whenever you want to go and make that change, you just tap on it, adjust it down, and then you're going to hit the accept button, and that'll change your input current limit.
Cool.
So that'll tell the inverter to only allow that certain amount of voltage to come through, amperage, to come through to your inverter. One of the big things is we've kind of joked about it this week, if you turn it down, don't forget to turn that bad boy back up, because if not, it's only going to allow, if you're hooked into 30 amps, it's only going to allow 20, 15 amps, whatever you have it set down to, and it'll go into assist mode where it'll start pulling from your batteries.
Right.
You don't want to do that, especially if it's not necessary.
These guys have just done an amazing job, and part of what I think is like super cool, and they may not be thrilled with having this on video, but I'm going to do it anyway because I think it's important. When they were testing earlier today, they decided to upgrade some of the cables because they were getting a little hotter than they were happy with. And I think that's a really important thing to highlight, because it would have been just as easy to leave it alone.
Yep. Yeah.
And they weren't satisfied to do that, and I'm really pleased that that's the way it worked out. And then the other issue that we had that came up was that, and I don't know how to explain this really correctly, but basically what it comes down to is my generator is foobar. Well, it's not foobar. It's just not awesome. And essentially it's running dirty, and that's causing the inverter to basically take over for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's
so
not letting the sound wave pass through. So
yeah, so what we have right now is the inverter is actually set for that power to be at a lower amperage than it should be able to handle. And when I get the generator serviced, I'll be able to turn it back up to hopefully its full 30 amps.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So again, I mean, that's the kind of thing that could have easily been said, oh yeah, that's your issue, not ours, and walked away from. So these guys have just done an outstanding job, and I think it's really important to point that out.